Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk in the late night collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
Good. Not bad, not bad. For all you guys, if it's your first time checking out the channel, make sure you're subscribed to this. This is our comic book review show, our weekly comic book review show, where we come together and we talk about the weekly comics that we read. We give you, ratings, reviews on them, show off some of the art. We even talk about some comic book news, which actually reminds me, there is something I did want to kind of bring up later on in terms of comic book news. I sent you the article, Chris. I don't know if you've seen that. That's
Oh
very
shit!
interesting.
Oh, I didn't see that one there.
We're kind of bring it up. Okay, we'll get into it later on. But yeah, this is kind of, your source for all things comics and our opinions and everything else. It's always a fun time. Some jokes sometimes. We try to keep it light, a good conversation. And this week we're going to be talking about the comics that came out for the week of August 2nd, 2023 that we read. And as always, be forewarned. I can't talk, a little tongue twister type shit going on here. Maybe a few beers before recording. Be forewarned. There we go. If there is going to be spoilers, we do have to get into what happens in the books to properly talk about them. Sometimes we try to stay away from the big spoilers. Other times we spoil away. So, maybe read your books and come back if you're worried about getting spoiled, or, just check it out. Maybe sometimes we'll get you interested in checking out some books that you were worried about, or, get you interested in checking them out sooner. So definitely check out the show. And don't worry about these spoilers. This is all nonsense, this spoiler warnings, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
nothing
don't.
big this week, anyways.
No, there wasn't. It's not that big of a week, but without further ado, let's get into it. Chris,
All right, August 2nd. Let's talk comics. Cheers.
all over the place on this intro. Probably one of my worst intros ever. Here we
Oh,
go.
good.
Adventures of Superman John Kent, number 6 this week. The finale of this mini series, which kind of came as a surprise to both of us, because I don't feel like we went into this when this was solicited thinking it's going to be something that we were going to check out and read, because we weren't reading the previous series, or at least we dropped off of it. I know I read the first issue and then I'm like, hey, Chris, you might want to check this out. This actually was pretty good. And then Chris jumped on. We've been following it ever since, and it's been a nice surprise. What did you think of this finale here, Chris, this week?
Well, I guess surprising is what you can say for this finale. I was really looking forward to see what's going on here, but I guess the way he solved his problems is maybe a different sort of way than we're used to in comic books. Let's say he
Yeah,
talked this one out.
I figured you were going to feel this way about this, and I felt it a little bit too. Let's say these guys hugged it out a bit.
Yeah,
He tried to solve his problems by hugging his problems out, and you know what? It actually ended up working, because this guy's like, what the fuck? Like, this guy's so thrown off. John Kent ends up trying to not only talk to the people in his life around him, this version of Superman and Justice Superman, and try to get the story straight and get people on his side, but at the same time get people to maybe understand, understand where they're coming from, understand where he's coming from. And he fucking, at the end of the day, when they, instead of coming to blows, it came to a few bit of, they kind of threw down a
yeah,
little.
got a little fisticuffs. You have to rough it up with Wonder Woman there a little bit, where you take her to
Yeah.
take her to another planet somewhere.
Yeah, but he took reasoning into account and tried to give him the benefit of the doubt and let him know that, hey, listen, bud, you're going about things wrong here, and let's hug it out here. He tried to like show him a different way, and I guess kind of tapping into the fact that he does somewhat feel emotional for John, because that is like his son that used to be alive in this
Yeah,
world, like was also John. So in a way, or I guess was going to be John, because Lois Lane, the Joker, killed her with the baby in her. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, I think that happened in the Injustice universe. I think that sparked up all this shit that happened, right? So, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I mean, it's a different approach. I agree with you. It wasn't my favorite, but did you like it at all? Like, this miniseries, I think, was pretty solid overall, though. No,
yeah. Overall, I think the miniseries is solid. I was expecting more out of this last issue,
yeah,
but
there.
once again, I wasn't buying it, so I wasn't like fully invested. I was happy to kind of see the story go a different way, and everybody's still alive at the end, so they can still live in this world if they need to come back to it.
Yeah, they kind of left things open. There wasn't definitely a resolution of sorts, let's say, and which I'm sure is purposeful if he ever wanted to come back and, play in the sandbox here of the Injustice universe, him or other writers for that matter, because it is still one of their popular properties, I would say, despite them they're not doing current Injustice comics. That doesn't mean that they're not going to do them ever again. It was a different end. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I do like that he played up the fact that like he knew this about him, that he would feel a way about all this, and by the end, he was kind of upset and he felt like he would have showed the world a different side of him. He kind of tried to play with his heartstrings a little bit with the whole Lois Lane projection shit too, as well, right? So like he definitely hit him where it hurts in a different type of way. I know like it's easy to say, oh, that was lame, that didn't even really fight at the end of this, but like he came at him with a different approach, and was it effective? I think so. I think it was.
That's it. He's the new Superman. He goes about things a different way.
Yeah. It worked. It worked. I like the this whole thing. This was weird though. Cyborg came out of nowhere and blasted him, and then like sent him back to his time. It was just like,
well, I think he felt that he was getting through to what I know they call this guy Superman or not here, but looks like he thought he might be getting through because I got to get rid of this guy. This guy's sowing the seeds.
Yeah. So that was a little different, that end, in that sense. Like it was almost like Taylor's like, oh, ran out of room. Here's Cyborg to zap you back.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what threw me off. I was like, what the hell? like, was this already previously established that he has this technology?
Yeah, they're gonna zap him right away then.
I don't think it was. It was just like, hey. But he's like, oh no, I'm facing away.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's back in his world. I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, what'd you give this?
What are you gonna do? I give it a 3.75. I thought it was a decent comic, and the series itself was good.
I agree. I would also give it a 3.75. And I would give the whole series a 4. I think it's worth checking out. Maybe checking out the trade if you guys didn't check it out in issues. I think it was good. I think it was good to revisit the Injustice universe stuff with Tom Taylor, who kind of previously was the big writer that kind of set up all this Injustice comic stuff. And it was good. It was decent. And again, Elseworlds Tales. We always like these on the show, right? For the most part, they're decent. So Sacrificers #1. New release this week from Rick Remender and Image Comics. Yeah, and which Fiumara brothers? Max Fiumara, because there's 2 of them that are artists on the interiors on this one. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Not a bad first issue. You kind of give it a good read and see what's going on. It's kind of a weird world there. You got those, I guess, different races of people, and it kind of, you're asking a lot of questions. It leaves a lot of stuff up in the air. You don't know what's going on and what's happening. These like where these sacrificers come in.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it just seems like a story about these bird family or something like that, and maybe some royal family that's having some issues. But I'm looking forward to reading more. It's nothing that blew my socks off right away. There's no big cliffhanger at the end.
Right.
But like I say, I think it's a slow burn, and I'll be down for a few issues at least. Art is great inside, that's for sure.
Yeah, the art is great. I agree with you, and I'm glad you took that approach with it, because like I think you could easily pick this up and be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and not be in for it, right? And I understand that. But if you read I don't know if you read the his blurb at the end, Rick Remender, what he wrote about it, but he talked about like David Lynch being one of his favorite directors, blah, 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 blah. And like, he even actually says that at the end of this comic. He says like, I like him because his form of storytelling, like sometimes they throw you kind of in the middle of a situation and you don't know everything at first, and you got to kind of pick it up as you go. But the more you get into it, the more, you know what I mean? Like, so like, that is definitely what he's going for here. I did feel that from this comic. For that reason, I didn't feel like I could give it over a certain rating, let's say, but like it was still a good issue, but it's just like it did leave you asking a lot of questions, but in a good way, like where I'm like, this scene was brutal. His father, like, shit out of him with a belt in this one scene, this bird creature father.
You still don't know why this boy bird or is even like, what kind of got him had him outcast from the family to begin with.
Right. So then there's another set of characters that are kind of like, I feel like the royalty of sorts in this world.
Yeah.
A fire, like god type girl here. Like, I don't know even if she's a god. Again, not very clear on everything that's happening, but the illustrations sure help because it was great art. And the storytelling is well done, despite them not spooning feeding you and telling you everything that's happening. But like, so there's this whole other kind of scenario going on with them, and maybe that's but then like some maybe that person works for these people. I don't know. Somebody shows up at the bird people's house at the end of this dude, and basically says, yeah, here, I'm here for your sacrifice, essentially. And like, it seems like you have to sacrifice somebody from their family to these people.
Yeah.
And the kid that he beat the shit out of in the belt and they made stay in the barn, basically he's like, yep, that's me. And like the other family members are like, no, don't take it.
Yeah, but still, even there, the father's like, "Oh no, he's not going."
Right.
Even though he's like, he just pounded the crap out of him earlier. So there is some sort of dynamic there that's interesting.
That's what I don't understand. I'm like, what has this guy done to this family? And not only that, at the end of the day, he's ready to step up and like sacrifice himself, hence the name family here in this moment. And he's like, he even says, he's like, no, you're gonna just make it harder on me. And then when he says that, the father's like, no, he's right, like, let's go inside, and then just turn his back on him. I was like, Jesus Christ. It was a brutal, whatever's going on, it was just like a brutal, unloving, like fucking horrible, like kind of scenario for this character. I just felt bad. And like, it's not like they're humans or like these bird creatures. So it's really, it did get me interested in what happens next. I agree with you, Chris. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but that scene of him just fucking beating the shit out of him and then like followed by, all right, you see you later. Like, this dude coming to collect him. I'm like, wow, this is fucked. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Great art. So yeah, good debut issue, but like Chris said, like not like amazing where I'm like, oh, this is the best thing I read this week, or nothing like that. But like, it was a strong debut issue that left us wanting more. I feel like, yeah, for that reason, like he kind of left a lot of questions, and the art didn't hurt. So what'd you give this 5?
I give it a 3.5.
I give it a 3.75 as well. But yeah, like I said, for that reason, I don't feel I can give it more because I don't know everything that's
like when the story kind of fleshes itself out, you can come back to this and go, holy smokes, there's a lot going on here that we didn't know about, and now we do. And but we'll see. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, Remender is one of my favorite writers, so I have a lot of faith in him on this one. So I'm looking forward to more. I was going to check this out regardless, but yeah, good stuff. All right, next up we got Peacemaker Tries Hard number 4. I got my issue right here. And what did you think of this one, Chris?
It's another great issue here.
Yeah,
a lot of good scenes in there. It's this is a regular size comic though, right? It's not the big ones.
Yep, regular size, not Black Label.
Yeah.
No,
I think I missed out on this one.
Sorry, it is Black Label, but it's not the oversized Black Label.
Yeah.
You see, this is what I don't like about it. I'm like, pick a like it sucks because like even you, who maybe somebody wants to pick these issues up that doesn't like the magazine size format. Like if it does say, I think prestige size, it says something like in the description of the solicits, but still it's kind of confusing for folks whether or not, unless they see it physically at the store, to pre-order. Because if they don't like the magazine size, they might have missed out on this one, right? As a result, not to say that's what happened with you, but yeah. But go ahead.
Well, you never know what kind of Peacemaker you're getting. You get some sort of Punisher type Peacemaker. And here you're getting basically the HBO Peacemaker, which is great. There's some good scenes in there. One that comes to mind is when, like, I think this is what's going on here, is where he's talking about Bruce Wayne being kidnapped, and Amanda Waller is ready to freaking send in the troops, and he's like freaking out that he's getting so much support. And then, he kind of reveals that Bruce Wayne is a dog that he met.
She's like, what? As soon as he says Bruce Wayne, though, she's like, all right, you guys get going. Like, like she's like all hands on deck. And he's like, oh, thank you. I can't believe you care about my dog like this. She's like, what? A dog? And she's hovering over the buttons to like basically blow up the shit in his brain. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then even these new characters that they brought in, this King Bee guy with his pet bee, you gotta like that pet bee.
It fucks shit up. Everyone at first is like, who is this stupid guy? Like, and then he's like, ow, that hurts, the bee.
Yeah.
I honestly, for the first half of this comic, could not stop laughing. And then you get to the end, and there's a fucking coked up villain. Bro, Chris, you cannot tell me that this guy is not like, it's basically, what's his name from wrestling? Fucking ultimate fucking warrior, coked up ultimate warrior here. Like this guy, like the way he just like he does the fucking coke and then he gets super strong. He's got coke all over his fucking face. It's just gold. I'm like, I had to look if this is Black. I'm like, how are they getting away with this? I'm like, how could they write a coked up fucking villain like this? Like he fucking shoots him right in the fucking face in this book, and then he's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, he's all, he's like, what the fuck? Like in this scene here, he just shoots him like 4 fucking times in the face, and Buddy's just like singed, right? I'm like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. It was awesome. I couldn't stop laughing at that shit. Like, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. This is the good stuff.
I can't say that the story moved forward all too much in this issue, but we still got 2 more to go.
Yeah.
And, it was just successful in making me laugh, and it is a well told. It is a good characterization of this of the Peacemaker.
Well, I'm looking forward to if it is Deathstroke that's coming in at the end. It's a very super serious character that's going to be going up against the goofy Peacemaker. So that should make for a good issue.
Yeah. What the fuck did he say? Hold on. Oh man. This place used to be bumping, man. And he's like snorting. He's doing bumps. No, there was one fucking line. I wish I found it. Like, I'm just like, it's just killed me. Yeah, he said, this is when he freaks out. Fuel me, my cumulonimbus stimulant cloud. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And this is right after he like threw his face into like a huge pile of coke and like snorts it like Scarface style. Oh my god! All right, what'd you give this out of 5?
No, I'll give this a 4. I thought it was pretty good.
4 out of 5 for me too. Yeah. All right, now I got a few here I've read. Doctor Strange number 6. Don't got the preview art for this. Actually, did this come out this week? Yes, it did. Sorry, I almost forgot about this one. Wow, I read this one. This was been the first thing I read this week. Forgot about this one almost. This one was really fun. This is telling me backstory of like this. They set it up at the end of the last issue, like he's like a general Doctor Strange or somebody like that he fought with in like some sort of like like some other dimensional type war that he was in, the War of the Seven Spears. And apparently in the past, Doctor Strange fought in this war in another dimension. So obviously, I guess time moved differently there. And by the end of it, like as they're showing like this past story of him fighting in this war and it's something that happened in his past. They fought for like thousands of years in this fucking dimensional war that he was in, apparently. And at some point by the end of it, like there was another person that he fought with that's basically so by the end of not by the end of the war, but there came to a certain point where it was almost like at a standstill, but the war kept going and there wasn't much else that Doctor Strange could do. So they separated his beings. This is hard to describe. They separated his inner self into 2 different Doctor Stranges. One that would be the general Doctor Strange that stayed in this dimension and continue fighting this war. And one is the Doctor Strange that came back into his, the world that we know, the Marvel universe there and back to Earth and continue to be the Sorcerer Supreme. So this guy that showed up at the end of the last issue who said he was the general Doctor Strange, this is why. It's because like it is him a part of himself that has come back from fighting this fucking like century long fucking war, thousands of years war that he's been doing in another dimension. And now I guess he confronted him at the end of the last issue. In this issue, you're getting the backstory of that story. It's kind of a weird kind of story to tell, I gotta say, but it was well written, and it fits in with, I feel like, the things that you would expect from a Doctor Strange comic. So by the end of it, I was totally on board. I think Jed MacKay did a really good job telling the story. He had a guest artist on for this issue, Juan Gideon, who was really great. So yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a solid issue. Next up, we got Fantastic Four number 10. This continues to like ride that line of like, I really, really want to love this comic. It's not bad. It is good, but it's not it's not great. It's not maybe as great as I want it to be. This is another guest artist issue. He had Leandro Fernandez, who was an artist I really like, who I just came on, I think, just for this singular issue. He hasn't done any issues prior to this. And this kind of is a story about like a space station. They're all like in stasis, like in these stasis pods. And every like so often, one of these stasis pods like opens up, and one of these worker aliens comes out of it. And as the story is kind of told, like they end up somehow all accidentally killing themselves, like in a bunch of fucking weird scenarios in the ship. And the whole time they're observing these creatures from outside the ship who they feel are trying to get into the ship. And it turns out they're all like, it's the Fantastic Four basically observing the ship. But again, because of where they are in space, they're in some sort of pocket of space and time, outside of space and time, where it moves differently. So the Fantastic Four, mere moments of them trying to look inside the ship or get into the ship from the outside have passed for them observing these people. And meanwhile, for them, like hundreds of years of being passing, and people keep coming out of these stasis pods and kind of observing what's going on. And they keep getting worried that what they're observing from the outside are these people trying to like break into their ship. All these high sci-fi concept shits that I'm trying to like describe to you guys today on the show, really complicated to do, I gotta say, honestly. So I hope you're still with me, Chris. But so basically, then we see them from the outside, the Fantastic Four. They're like them talking. They're like, "Oh, look, there's a ship." Like, and then Reed is like, "Yeah, but everything's probably moving differently. Like us being outside the ship, like where they are, like millennia could have been like passed since we've been here observing the ship. All this bullshit and sciencey shit, right? Which I guess is good. What you would want to expect from a weird science adventure Fantastic Four run, right? Anyways, they get into the ship at some point. And, one of the people finally comes out of stasis and like observes what's going on and figures out they're not actually trying to break in. And he like drops the shields, and they're able to come in. And he's like, "Oh, these people aren't trying to harm us. They're just observing or whatever." And by the end of it, you see them, they come in, they see all these fucking like hieroglyphics on the wall of the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four are like, "Oh, this is strange. Like we must have been here for like a long time, and they were observing it differently than we were." And at the end of it, you jump to the future. They leave, and they help them out of this jam. They help fix their ship or whatever's going on with it. And they have like a mural of them inside of the spaceship of like basically worshiping the Fantastic Four, that they helped them, these people, right? So I don't know. I gave it a 3.5. I'm still not crazy about it. It's kind of like I think this is what the Fantastic Four book should be, other than the family aspect, should be these science adventures. But I like that they're doing the one and done type stuff. But at the same time, I don't like, I kind of miss some of their adventures back on Earth with villains and everything, and the rest of the Marvel universe and stuff. Like these science adventures, these Twilight Zone-esque type tales are fun and all, but this is basically what the series is. You're either in or you're out on it, right? Like I don't know. I can't get there 100%. Justice Society of America #5. Not much to say on this. This was another fun issue. Helena Wayne in this time period, who's the daughter of Bruce, came back to the past in this story, and she's actually talking to Bruce, her father, who's still alive in the past in this story. She's from the future JSA. He's back in his time in the past JSA period. And she basically, you fuck with time, you go back, you let people know what you're doing. It's if you want to watch Back to the Future, you can't change certain shit, right? So you got to watch out for what you do. So basically, that's what this issue is about. And the villain, again, comes down on the JSA in this issue, and he's like some weird Nazi type character who can time travel, and he seems to be a formidable foe for these guys. So another good issue, enjoyable, fun time travel shit going on, good art. And another decent issue. I give it a 3.75 out of 5. Overall, I think the series is decent, but it's nothing too crazy. Oh yeah, and Our Man shows up at the end, which is a big deal, because I don't feel like we've seen that guy in fucking forever. And then you got Sins of the Sultan Sea #3, the last issue I read here that I had read. I thought the first issue was good. I didn't talk about the second issue on the show. I hadn't read it in time for the show, so I caught up on the second and third issue for the show here today. It's fine. It's not the best thing I've read Ed Brisson write. It's a kind of a weird heist story gone wrong. But now it turns out there's like a supernatural element to the story that I'm not really a big fan of. It turns out like there's like a cult that thinks that there's going to be some sort of end of the world scenario involving like a Cthulhu type monster or something. I don't know. I would have been okay if it just stayed like a heist crime story gone wrong. But now there's like a whole other element that the people that kidnapped the people to begin with are trying to sacrifice the girl as something to this creature that they think is going to basically destroy the world. So whether or not this is true or these guys are just fucked up in the head and they think it's true, I guess we'll see. I don't love the artist on this. I give this a 3.5 out of 5. It was fine. I don't know if I'll be checking out the collection of this story. Let's say I don't think I'll be double dipping because I've been reading this digitally. I don't think I'll be picking this up. Night Terrors Poison Ivy 2, Chris.
Well, I might have to call an audible here. I did read Amazing Spider-Man, the end. The annual.
Okay, didn't know this.
Yeah, I just kind of pulled it out of my pile. I forgot about this one. I don't know if you want. If it's okay if I talk about this one here a little bit.
Go for it.
So basically, in this one here, we have once again, my pet peeve. A nice cover, but it has nothing to do with the story, even though it's a variant cover. But anyways, there's basically 2 stories in there. One of them is with Hallows' Eve is trying to break out, I guess, Ben Reilly out of where Limbo or wherever they are. So there's a lot of interaction between I guess Spider-Man and Hallows' Eve, and they're inside the Limbo embassy, and Madeline Pryor's there. She's getting upset that these 2 are kind of roughhousing in the embassy, and she puts a stop to that. And basically, at the end of the big, I guess, takeaway from this story is that Peter Parker is still pretty upset about what he had to do to both of them, and he's sorry for what he did. And then there was a second story, which was basically Mary Jane's aunt, Anna. She was having a birthday party, and then I guess she's been taking those Krakoan medicines, and she flips out. Spider-Man shows up. It's not really the story that was interesting there. It's just that they have, they're having Mary Jane Watson there. That Paul guy was there. So I'm not sure when this takes place. And I know, just it ends up with Mary Jane Watson's aunt is in Ravenscroft. She's all tied up there and like in a straitjacket because those Krakoan medicines, are made her go crazy. So I don't know, it wasn't anything super interesting, but I guess relevant to some of the stories that might be coming up. I give it a 3.5.
Okay, cool.
And then then we're gonna go into Poison Ivy here. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the first issue. The second issue was more of the same. I guess Poison Ivy's trying to wake up from her dream world. You got Janet from HR rolling around in there. And, I guess she ends up meeting up with Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy realizes that that's the real Janet from HR. And then all the other, I guess, characters in her dream world, they're all trying to stop her. Blah, blah, blah. And I think she wakes up in the end, and I don't know, nothing much to say about that. There was nothing great going on here. Just, some wacky, dream-like versions of all the people that are sort of in Poison Ivy's life, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. 3.25.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that's the thing with a lot of these night terrors. The biggest crime of them is that, we know they're going to come and go after 2 issues, so they don't really leave very much lasting impression on us.
Yeah.
Because at the end of, because I read, this is the first wave of ones that have now ended this week out of the 2 issue tie-ins, let's say. Meanwhile, the main event is still going on. It's exactly what you would expect at the end of these issues. Each one is like, oh, I just woke up from this nightmare. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, it's brutal.
One of the worst overused tropes, like in like old shows and movies, are like, oh, it was all a dream. You know what I mean? Just like
it's just going on in one issue, fine, but it's going on in every issue.
Right. It literally is going
makes
on.
It even worse.
Yeah. I don't like that. No, for sure. But we got to talk about a couple more. So buckle up. Night Terrors Batman #2. And listen, one thing we haven't been saying about this series, or at least I know I haven't, and I think Chris would agree on most of them, but not all. I agree in that sense too. There is some good artists in these series. I thought Gillian March on this Batman series just looked great. I thought there was some good stuff in this issue.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's just wasted. It's
They
wasted.
should have put this guy in the last issue for that John Kent, and they put that John Kent guy in this one.
Right.
It would have been great.
I mean,
But yeah, once again, this, I don't know, they're all trying to retread that alley scene with Batman there and try and give it new meaning and some other different angle, blah blah blah. I don't know. The only good stuff here is with Batman trying to fight Deadman to get his to kind of get control of his body back or something. Because Batman seemed to be prepared for an attack like this, and if it wasn't for Deadman, Batman would have been able to wake himself up. And I don't know about all this other stuff where Batman's going deeper into his psyche to.
Which has already come and went and been resolved in the first issue of the main miniseries, right? Like that was already a scene that took place. Like, and then it was one of those things where like, oh, if you want to know more about what's going on with this, check out Night Terror's Batman. I'm like, this doesn't deserve a 2-issue fucking story. Like, like, hey, you should be. And that's how they get some of us, where you're like, oh, Gillian March is a good artist. Like, you don't see him all too often. I gotta pick this up. And it's some fucking bullshit story. Like, don't waste this guy's time. Like, yeah, it looks great, but like, is anyone gonna fucking remember this? Like, is anybody gonna pick this up and want to keep this in the collection based on the story? Probably not. On the art, sure, the art was good. I thought the artist did a good job. If you're a fan of Gillian March, definitely check out this issue. But otherwise, this is like almost any other Batman story that you've read, and I feel like we've seen these shit happen before that happened in this issue. And he woke up at the end and whatever, like he got out of Deadman's, like you said, and they set up the next issues 3 and 4 with this ending here with Robin with the gun there. I don't know what the fuck's
Right, doesn't he wake up and Gotham's burning or something, and he's not sure if he's still dreaming or if that's the way what's going on in the world or something.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then Robin shows up and he's fucked up and he's got a gun, but I don't know. It's it is what it is. I don't think we've been like, again, because these have been light weeks because there's been no DC. Like I've been checking out, I wouldn't say willingly, but checking out a couple of these things. But I think as the weeks are going to go on now, you're going to see me probably do less and less of these. I'm not going to probably look at every issue that I read the first time around. I'm probably not going to read all the second ones, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm not really keen on it. I will say though, Night Terror's Joker number. I mean, I don't know. Did we give ratings to that one? 3.25 for that one as well.
Yeah, 3.25. I'd give it a bump up for some nice art, but
same. But Night Terror's Joker number 2, and I know you weren't in love with the first issue. I somehow I think it was my favorite of the week. I can't remember, but I did really like that first issue. It just came as a surprise out of all the Night Terror shit. I liked this still. I thought this was fun. I really enjoyed it. I got my art here. I'm going to bring it up. But here, why don't you let us know what you think about it? I wanted to get that out of the way because I do think this is a singular standout, I think, out of the for me, out of all the Night Terror stuff, this was a fun story, I think. But go ahead.
I mean, it might be swaying me. Like, I don't think it's a bad story, but I think like they wasted a good either Joker, Elseworld or What If type of story on this Night Terrors. Like, just having it under that Night Terror banner ruins this story.
No, but I wouldn't call it a waste because at least they tried to do something different. This was an interesting story that they did for 2 issues that I feel like no one else is doing. Like, it was a fun idea. I think it was like, maybe it's lost on some of us because they were not going to check this out because it was fucking Night Terrors. But if you happen to cross this one in particular, I think this was like, again, a standout amongst all. At least he tried something different. At least
they should have figured out a way to shoehorn this into that whatever Joker series has got going on, because I think it needs some heat. I haven't heard much about this new Joker series.
And this is written by the same guy, Matthew Rosenberg, the Batman.
Yeah, I know. Like, they should just they're wasting this good story.
Yeah.
Under this Night Terrors banner. But I thought it was a decent story.
I love this part where the guys, Mr. Freeze, came to apply for the job, and then he was like,
they kept on saying his name wrong too.
Freeze.
What am I saying?
Because it is spelled like fries, like in the actual, like it is spelled like that in the comics. So it's Fries or free, like German or whatever the fuck.
Well, I guess you're the way I was reading fries, and he's saying
But it's
free
no,
fry.
that is how it's written, I think.
Yeah.
In comics, usually. Like his actual name is Victor Freeze, spelt like that. So he's like, so Victor Freeze? He's like, Freeze. And he put F-R-E. No, it's, what am I seeing? I think he said, what am I seeing? And then he's like, okay. And by the end of it, he's like not happy with his answers. He's like, okay, we'll talk or whatever. I'll let you know if you got the job. And he leaves. And then the scarecrow comes in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for work, you know? It's just such a goofy fucking idea. And it's like demented. The fact that he's running around in Batman's fucking outfit and he has like some sort of like, it's like a split personality type shit going on. This is like basically American Psycho, the movie, if you've ever seen that in a comic. And I'm sure that's what he got this idea, like in a Batman comic, because like his rotting body's like in his, he chokes
in his closet.
Yeah, in his closet. He chokes the guy out at the employee baseball game.
Well, that's it. When they talk about it a little later on, it's like the bad, like, you know, the takeaway from that wasn't that he choked the guy out. It's I thought he was safe.
And then Buddy shows up and it's like a Killing Joke. Like he's basically dressed in the Killing Joke attire and he's eating the prawn and shit like that across from like he does in the Killing Joke, but it's like a lobster. So there's some good stuff in here. Like you said, I agree with what you're saying. Maybe it was wasted on this series, but at least he did something different. If you happen to come across this, I think this was a gem amongst all this bullshit Night Terror stuff. You know, he stabbed this guy with a pen like Casino style. there's some good stuff in this, man. Yeah, good art. Yeah, I dug this, man. But again, at the end, he's like, "Oh, I just woke up from a nightmare." And he's like surrounded by all the other villains. He's like, "Oh." It's in jail. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That kills it.
What'd you give this?
I'll give this a 3.75. I give it a 5 for Night Terrors, but
on a Night Terror scale, yeah, I gotta give this a 4 out of 5. I'll stick by my assessment on this. I think this is, if you're gonna pick up any Night Terror tie-ins, this is the best one I've read, and I've read a bunch. Like we've talked about a bunch here on the show. This one is worthwhile, I think, if you're gonna pick up any of them, and that's a lot. That's saying a lot. All right, and finally, X-Men 25, Chris, this week. Quick. Yeah, we're doing great on time. Small week, guys, but yeah, X-Men 25. Let's end off on a doozy, shall we? What do you think of this, Chris?
This was like a double issue here or something, right?
Yeah, because it's issue 25. And this is
there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Like the first few pages, they were wasted on me, whatever. Kitty Pryde talking to her mother or something. I don't know. But after that, everything gets going in this one. You know, to kind of figure out getting a bit of the aftermath of the mutant massacre. I'm still trying to figure that out. Who's dead and who's alive, or what happened with everything that's going there. And they're slowly picking away at some of these answers here. But, you know, I guess Cyclops is in a bad way here, or, well, I guess later on we'll see. They show some stuff with, I guess, the Uncanny Avengers and the X-Men are still, you know, meeting in the tunnels. This Fei Long here with talking to the president. I don't know if there's some like political overtones there because he's like a Chinese nationalist.
Yes.
But it's good to see that, you know, Cyclops is kind of standing up. We wouldn't expect anything less from him. And then, well, I guess Shadowcat in this one here, or whatever you want to call her, Kitty Pryde, or oof.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for you to get to. Yeah, Kitty Pryde like offs like fucking like a whole shitload of people in this book, which for me was the highlight of this week. Like, look at this.
Does it so well too.
It's so sick. Yeah, because like, you know, you don't expect this from this character, and she's showed a little bit of like this type of side of her throughout the Marauder series, which Jerry Duggan, writer of this, also had written previous to this. And that's where she changed her name, not from Kitty. She's Kate Pryde and all this shit. You know, part of the council. But like the way she strategically rolls in there, to your point, like fucking just offs like 6 of these fucking guys, and it is crazy.
Well, even the guy saying, "Hey, no, okay, I give up." She's like, "Well, I can't.
Yeah.
No, that's not us anymore."
No, but like it's so perfect because this is your response at this time after everything that fucking happened to these people.
Yeah.
Right? Like she got pushed to this. Like, and she knows like she needs to take care of business, and she does. She fucking faces guns through people's fucking heads. She rips a guy into the ground that never even comes back. Like he's like in the fucking ground. Like Kitty Pryde, if she's using her powers like in this way, is a fucking huge threat. Like, you know what I mean? She's like it is an extremely powerful mutant ability that she has, right? Like, like, you know,
I know, you kind of, laid before, oh, I can run through walls. But now, you see the full potential of her phasing,
yes,
matched with, an assassin's attacking skills and stuff like that. She can really do some damage.
And fuck all you guys out there. Not that I've heard fans whine about this. All you Kitty Pryde fans, I mean, like, oh, this is out of character. Bull fucking shit. He's pushed to this. There, people can change. People, like, you know what I mean? Can like, this. She was pushed to this scenario. Like, she's not happy about it, as you can see on this last page. She is distraught about all that she had to do, but she knew she had to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she just did it so masterfully. Like you said, like she ran in there. This was a highlight of this week for me. This is so good. I was so shocked reading this. I'm like, holy fuck.
I didn't expect that. Like, especially, even in the last one, like when she falls in there, it's like, oh, hey guys, you're expecting some sort of, like, some shenanigans to get out of that situation, not
the way they ended
not freaking brutally murder everybody.
Yeah, the way they ended the gala one, the Hellfire Gala. You're right. Like, she kind of bumbled in there like a clumsy idiot type of thing.
Yeah.
And instead she just went
to turn around and go game face on them and just freaking off them all. It's like, whoa.
Went to work in this. Yeah, this was sick, man. This is
and then even there's just the end. Well, I can imagine with her final line there, she's going after Firestar. Mm-hmm. But I imagine they're going to talk it out, and she'll be able to reveal to her that she's the.
I can't give credit. I'm sorry. I have to give credit to another podcast I listened to after we recorded our episode this week. I listen sometimes to other comic podcasts, and someone reviewed the Hellfire Gala book, and they made the reference of that scenario with the Firestar thing to the movie The Departed. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
You know how, like, basically the lieutenant there at the end, the guy that basically put him into when he gets killed, when he put the guy that Leo, because he's like, in this, he's a secret agent essentially, like he's been placed in that scenario.
Yeah, and then his handler dies, and nobody else knows that he's
exactly
that he's a mole.
That's exactly what has happened in this book now with Starfire. And when he made that like comparison, I'm like, holy shit, it is like that. And like, even though like I knew what had happened, we talked about it last week. I was like, I just never thought of it in that sense. And when he made that comparison, I'm like, that's a brilliant fucking comparison. I'm like, it is like that. She's in trouble. Like, I was just like, that is not good. And then to your point, she's like, she's probably going to go after her. Like, it's kind of, it's good and it's bad, but whether or not she's going to be able to convince people, I don't know. She could get killed as a villain right now, right? Like, wouldn't that be fucking crazy if Starfire gets killed as?
I don't think they can't kill her.
I mean,
the first time they got her in like a big, a meaty part in the story here.
Who cares about that character, really? That you can't kill her off, right? Like, I mean, I know she has her fans from the whatever Spider-Man His Amazing Friends days, but like, let's be honest here. Starfire is not a huge character, right? Like, I don't know. Like, anyways, great issue, great fucking issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I underplayed the Hellfire Gala last week because it was such a fucking great week of comics last week that I know it was your favorite. I didn't give its due in that sense.
But for this comic to be a follow-up to that, you can't complain.
No, not at all. Not at all. And even if this was a stronger week in terms of how many books we talked about or what books were out, this was a highlight. This was a great issue. Yeah, I really loved this one.
Well, the one thing I want to talk about is this Kamala Khan stuff. Like, that was a bit of a con, let's say. Just like everything was all done. Or not. Ooh, excuse me. No pun intended there. But like, how, like, so what's Emma Frost doing? Is she just like erasing the mind of her family, or is this like a freaking worldwide event? Like, is Spider-Man going to know that Kamala Khan is dead or not dead, and that just wipes out that whole storyline then with Peter Parker then, or whatever, that's Spider-Man 26, 25.
It's messy. Absolutely, it's messy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's almost like they want to erase everything about the character that came before, which is a shame because there's a lot of good stuff that came before with her and her
Yeah.
family, knowing that she's Ms. Marvel and everything else.
Like
But
I know what they were thinking when they're trying to do this. Like I know if they want to kill her and maybe have it in some impactful way, they could have just had it on her,
I know.
like a little one shot or something, like just the death there, and she just dies doing something heroic on her own.
You know what?
But now you're mixing up all these other storylines that are either happening during this or not. Like timelines are all messed up now.
Unfortunately, this one is 100% editorially mandated.
Yeah, I imagine so, but
because of the show and because of the fact that they're trying to make her mutant,
yeah,
right? So like, it's a shame because like I'm not gonna blame Jerry Duggan. He's doing the best with what he has.
No, I think he was forced to do this.
Yeah, but I think it's like one of those things where like unfortunately the powers that be were like, this has to happen, so make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like, there's gonna be questions like you have where you're like, well, does that erase this? And then like also sometimes like even the release of comics that come out don't come out at the right time, and it's just like, yeah, this is an idea that we came up with before, but then this event got in the way, and then maybe the Spider-Man thing was supposed to happen earlier. And
yeah, like you figure wouldn't Spider-Man reach out to like the X-Men after all this? Like they've just been wiped out. It's all in New York that's happening in his city, and there's like no mention of this that's going on in his life. He's out there, freaking walking around with Dr. Octopus's arms.
right.
But
I know it's messy. It's messy for sure, but we're gonna move on and forget that that it's a thing and accept her as a mutant because that's what we're supposed to do as readers.
Comics.
Yeah, comics. There you go. All right,
why?
guys.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
There you go. Why do they do this? Oh, comics. Okay, yeah, that's the answer.
Pretty much, you'd be like, oh yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. You can't explain it. Comics. Okay, yeah, I get it.
I do enjoy that we do like to go back and forth and talk about it, but at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, what do you want? Anyways, speaking of comics, that's all we wanted to talk about this week, guys, that we read. What are we reading next week? Chris, you got a list there?
Or? Not a big week again. I got Immortal X-Men 14, Amazing Spider-Man 31, Avengers 4, and sort of whatever else. That's what I'm buying, at least.
Yeah.
I think there might be an annual in there, too, or something. I think there's the Spider-Man annual where Spider-Man, Spidey, Wolverine or something, but we'll see what's going on with that.
No, it's not an annual. It's 31, issue 31. It's already annual. What annual? You just talked about an annual.
The Contest of Chaos.
Oh, that annual thing. That's between a few different books. Yeah. Actually, I think the next week does the Ghost Rider issue not come out? It does come out next week. The Ghost Rider Wolverine first part.
I think there's an alpha, but I'm just going to buy the issues. I'm not buying the alpha or the megas and all that.
Okay.
I'm not buying into this.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, but I don't mind seeing them together. They had some nice covers in their own issues, and I'll follow
that. Amazing Spider-Man 31. This is stuff I'm buying physically next week. Avengers number 4, Kea number 10, and that's it. That's actually only 3 issues for me as well next week, guys. But I am reading some things digitally next week. I do have that list here as well. Things I'm reading next week digitally. Like I mentioned, Ghost Rider Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance, Immortal X-Men 14. Actually, I'm picking that up too. Sorry, I didn't pre-order it, but I'm picking them up still. Immortal X-Men 14. I gotta seek that out.
That should be a good one too.
Yeah. Night Terrors 3.
Yeah.
Untold Tales. I think that's the only Night Terrors I'm reading next week, though. Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland 2, possibly, if I come across it. And something that stuck out to me is this Superman 2023 annual that comes out next week, which is going to be written by Joshua Williamson, the writer of Superman. And it is coming out amongst all the Night Terror shit, but doesn't have to do with Night Terror. So I actually read the description of what it was, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll read that one digitally. It sounds interesting. So
I think DC and Marvel spend more money on the people that write the solicitations than that write the freaking comics.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Sometimes that's what gets us there. Actually, I think the writers are the ones that write the solicitations, actually, Chris. I think I heard that somewhere. I think the writers are the ones that also have to write their solicitations, if I'm not mistaken. And
well, it's worse then.
Yeah, exactly. If that is true, that is worse. Quickly though, actually, I did want to talk about a piece of comic book news. I probably should have mentioned this before. Unfortunately, it is a true piece of like it's not just about the business, but about someone that I just felt it's right to bring it up because we do talk about him on the show quite a bit. Let me just hear in the news. Where is that segment thing? Here we go. There is a piece of news that came out very recently about Donny Cates. Now, as we've talked about on the show a lot recently, he's been dropping off like basically all of his books now, with Finish, I think, being one of the last ones standing. Between Marvel and his creator-owned stuff over the last year, there's been a lot of rumors circling around about him online. He did get so again, this is an article that first came out from Bleeding Cool, who is like a rumor fucking article type a website, but they do get a lot of these facts right a lot of the times. And apparently this did come from him directly from being at San Diego Comic-Con a few weeks back, whenever that was. So I did want to mention this article that came up. This is basically just like a check-in with what's been going on with him for anybody that's been wondering. Donny Cates apparently missing 6 months of his life after car accident. Apparently, this guy had some sort of a head trauma from a car accident. There's pictures on the article, on the Bleeding Cool article now online, that show the big scar in his head. And apparently, he can't remember the last 6 months of his life now. So he even made a joke apparently about it, saying, there's things that I wrote during that period of time that had come out during those last 6 months that I'm reading for the first time, and I'm enjoying that. He basically made a joke about like, I'm reading these things for the first time. I don't remember writing them, right? So so apparently he's on the mend. He's doing better. There's no talk about when he's going to come back at all, but like, let me just read you this article here. It says, last year, comic book writer and former Bleeding Cool contributor Donny Cates began to drop off his Marvel comic series such as Hulk and Thor. It is also believed that Donny was originally going to be writing the Ultimate Invasion series, now written by Jonathan Hickman. There were also his Image Comics Substack publisher Kids Love Chains books, such as the Paused Crossover, which I was a huge fan of. Check that out, guys. And Vanish, which Ryan Stegman has also now been writing uncredited. There were wild rumors spread with consequences played out among other creators, but nothing is even wilder than the truth. Donny Cates went to San Diego Comic-Con last week, and while he was there, told the creators of some YouTube channel that had previously interviewed him what had been going down with him. They reported we ran into Donny Cates on the floor. He came out from hiding, and he asked us to mention on the show this piece of information to folks out there. So it wasn't reported at Bleeding Cool. It was reported these guys. They're reporting on it. Donny Cates apparently was involved in an automobile accident. He was severely injured. The scars, he showed them the scars to prove it, and there is a picture on here. He broke a bone near his ocular area and went through a severe period of rehabilitation and is now trying to essentially recover the pieces of his life. And so he doesn't remember the last at least 6 months. So we wish him a speedy recovery and all the best, and we hope he gets the help he needs. So yeah, this is sad to hear, man. I mean, they did confirm also in this article that he did there was a messy divorce that occurred prior to all this, but the rumors that were going around were that he was back on drugs. So this is why he kind of put this information out there, because he didn't like the narrative that was going on about him on the internet as of recently. So he confirmed, like, because he did have a drug and alcohol issues before, but he's confirmed that he's not back on drugs and alcohol. He didn't fucking fall off the wagon, but this did happen to him. How that's related to everything, the accident, if it's just an accident, or, maybe, I don't know if he did fall off for a moment. I don't know. He's just trying to say he's not on drugs and alcohol now. He's doing okay. He's fucking healing, but he's kind of fucked up now as a result of it, right? So yeah. So
the good news is we might have something to look forward to, once he gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's take what you want from that. But yeah, I'm glad to hear he's still alive, and he seems to be doing better, at least in the process of getting better. And yeah, it really fucking sucks. I'm glad he's okay, and there's still possibly a future of him like coming back and writing comics. He was announced to be at Fan Expo this summer here in Toronto, but he is now canceled off the list. I did see recently. But like I said, he was at San Diego. I don't think he was on a panel when he was there a couple weeks ago, but he was out on the floor, maybe touching base with some people he knows there. So he's still, he's still around. So, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. And he says, I'm back on the mend and it's better every day. The good news is that I've had the opportunity to read my own books and have them all be a surprise. Did you know Cosmic Ghost Rider is actually Frank Castle? Wild. And he said, I'd like to say I'm sorry to all my fans and friends and you YouTube trolls and whoever else if it seemed like I've just disappeared. I've had to relearn how to tie my own shoes and feed myself. So yeah, it's fucked up and all that boring crap. But I assure you, a little brain damage won't stop me from doing whatever it is that I do that you all seem to enjoy so much. So there's hope there. So I'm happy to hear that. So shout out to Donnie Cates. I just, I know we talked about a lot of them on the show and we hyped them up a lot and it's well deserved. And it was sad when I seen him dropping off from these books. All these books, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure you agree, Chris, went in the toilet, honestly, after he left.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
but now you can well with this story out there, now you can see why it happened on a snap. There's no there's no timeline to that. He might have had a story in the works and then he was ready to go to work the next day and it's gone. Someone else has to step in.
And of course they're not gonna, and I gotta commend not only the people in the comic community, but people close to him for not talking about this for this whole year. Like, good for them. Like, I mean, like in the era that we live in today, he has a lot of good people around him, obviously, that they didn't actually put his
that story not to break. Like, when it first happened, I know he's not a big mainstream celebrity, let's say, but you figure, a car accident of somebody, that has like a following, just for not for that to come out. It's a big deal.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, hopefully I'm happy to report that we weren't one of those people who are like, oh, fuck you're leaving all these books. We weren't like going on like that. We were just like, hey, come back, man.
What's going on, man? But I guess we now know. And
yeah. So I did want to bring that up. So I'm glad he's doing all right and he's getting better and hopefully we'll get him back at some point. Right. So, but go out there, guys, and check out, honestly, almost everything he's done, like since he was writing comics full time, as far as I'm concerned, like even his creator owned stuff. He has a book called God Country that he did for Image Comics that kind of put him on the map. I think this is around the same time he fucking started working for Marvel. That's just excellent. I love that book. Crossover was great. His Venom run was really good. As we talked about, majority of his Thor is excellent. Like he had his Hulk was fine, but he didn't barely write any of that. So like, what am I, again, it's hard to it's hard to say that one, but definitely check out his stuff. He was a great writer and he's worked on a lot of great books. So definitely check it out and hopefully more to come. Right. So anyways, all right, Chris, our favorite book of the week. What do you got for me?
I think it's an easy one this week.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, X-Men. I'm sorry I didn't give it to the Hellfire Gala, but I got to double down this week and I got to come back. We got to come back correct and double down on this favorite of the week. X-Men for sure. I love this book, man. It's a great book and I love everything going on right now with the X-Men. So
no, I got that limited series, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, where she becomes Shadowcat. Maybe that's going to be rising in the ranks now. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right. There was a Shadowcat variant that came out for this issue as well. I don't know if you saw that out and about. And now I guess like this is the way she's able to flip the switch and say that she's Shadowcat now, that she's like this. But that was a Chris Claremont written miniseries. I know the one you're talking about. I have it in one of my omnibuses. So yeah, it's good stuff. So all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this week. One final piece of news here. Chris, it may or may not be recording on location next week. If not, though, we have other plans to maybe bring somebody else on as a surprise guest to come talk about these comics. But if not, we'll see Chris hopefully the following week and enjoy Chris. He'll be away there on vacation. So we'll see you next time. If not, if we can make it happen, it would be interesting to see Chris on location for sure. But if not, just
I'll try to be the man about town this time. I'll see what my internet connection is like.
In a much more exciting place than fucking Sudbury, Ontario. But yeah, we'll see. If not, we might have another guest or something come on for next week. Don't worry, we won't let you guys down. We'll come out. We'll bring an episode out regardless. So, all right, thanks everyone. See you next time.
All right, cheers.